I'm Gavin, and this is MLS Fantasy Picks. Before we get into round 15 picks, here's a quick round 14 recap. A crazy week of low points, but I was pleased with my results. I ended with 78 points for round 14. I had a week rank of 488, and my overall rank is now 57. My budget increased from $156.8 million to $159.9 million. What went right? Zimmerman coming off the bench in the majority of my midfield. Evander, Gauld, and Puig all put up great numbers, proving their fantasy value. What went wrong? My DC United defensive switcheroo. Who else but DC to give up a goal to Chicago? Though I wasn't really expecting great things from that matchup anyways. Also, Benteke put up a 0. I started him as the matchup was good against Chicago, but I'm definitely glad that I didn't captain him. For boomer bust players like Benteke, I normally don't captain them. I like to captain high-scoring, more consistent midfielders like Evander or Puig. Alright, let's take a look at the MLS Fantasy Picks leagues. Looking at the MLS Fantasy Picks Open League, shout out to Sound of the Lloris and Kuipers with 87 points. Lloris had Malanda off the bench, captained Puig, and decent scores all around. 87 was a pretty good score for round 14. Looking at the head-to-head league, it is still 3 teams fighting for the top spot with 42 points, same as last week. Alright, let's get into round 15. It is another double game week. Very excited to get this going. Also, for bye teams, we've got Columbus on bye, and be sure to keep an eye out for injuries, reds, and yellow cards. As always, check the MLS disciplinary summary and the injury report before the next match day. And I went through my sort of, double game week spiel last time, but if you haven't watched it, or if you haven't watched that video, I definitely recommend the auto-roo approach. I, created a 4-minute long video. You can check that out. Give it a watch and see how to set up an auto-roo of your own. And also for double game weeks, be sure to only pick double game week players. Even if Lucho has a really tasty matchup, most likely he won't outscore, the majority of other double game week midfielders. And also, as I said before, when I go through my picks, I'll call out either if it's a double home player, a split, whether they have 1 home game and 1 away game, or if they have 2 away games. So obviously, double home is the best, then split, then double away. And I don't think it'll apply as much to this round, but just be careful for players on yellow card watch. I think for this round, we might have Gomez from Real Salt Lake and Chicho from Real Salt Lake, though there are a lot of other better options. So just keep an eye out. If they get a yellow that first game and they're on that accumulation warning, then they won't be able to play the second game, in our fantasy double game week. All right, let's get into keepers. Getting things started with our premium keepers, I've got Lloris from LAFC with a double home. So Lloris could be a good option for the back end of a keeperoo, and also surprisingly, LAFC have had a few clean sheets the past couple of weeks. Up next, I've got Calendar with the double home. I think he's got some good matchups and could be a good option, for the front end. See how they do at the early game, and then you could pivot to Lloris if Calendar doesn't get the clean sheet. If Calendar does get the clean sheet, just scrub out your, keeper on the field. Another keeper that could be a decent option for the later game is McCarthy. I don't like McCarthy as much as Lloris this week, as he has, a split double game week, 1 home, 1 away, where Lloris has a double home. And then looking at your budget keepers, I think Cornell's a decent shout, though, the Red Bull haven't been as great defensively as they have in the past. So, I kind of like Calendar a bit more this week. And then another stretch pick is Semla from the Union. I'll be at the Union game Wednesday, though the Union haven't been as strong at home as they used to be. I think it's the curse of Union yards. Anyways, I don't see them keeping as many clean sheets as they used to at home. So I think Semla is a good option, but only if you, need to save that budget. All right, getting started with defenders. As always, Mr. Kai Wagner. He's on a double home. He's more on the offensive side. He's on set pieces. I think Wagner will be in most managers' teams this week. I've called out Yoshida. He may not be worth the spend. I'm going to only be starting, 3 defenders, and I'll have 2 scrubs on the field. Yoshida might not be, the look for me, as he is a bit expensive, but he has, decent split options, and he generates bonus points. He's a, a decent option if you're willing to spend the money. Same thing goes for Veselinovic with Vancouver. He's got a split, set up for the double game week. Not a huge fan of their matchups. I like, if I'm going to spend a lot of money on a defender this week, it's probably going to be Wagner, but I wanted to call these guys out as well. And same thing for Glad. Real Salt Lake have looked good defensively, not the past week, with McMath letting in some goals there. But yeah, I think Glad's a decent option. He's dangerous on corner kicks, and he generates some bonus points. I am probably going to be looking more at the standard pricing, for my other two defenders. I like Alba this week, or another Miami defender. They're double home, and they have some good matchups. Another option is Chanot. He won't break the budget. I think he's the center back for LAFC, double home, and some good matchups. One I am a bit more of a fan of is Walker Zimmerman. I think he has some good matchups. I think they are the only team playing New England this week, and we know how New England has been struggling. And yeah, I like Zimmerman this week. And then a bit more on the cheaper side, if you are looking to save some budget with some good double home, double game week options. I've got Nealis or any other New York Red Bull defender. I think they have some good matchups, double home for the double game week. I think Red Bull are a decent option this week. All right, and looking at midfielders for premium, of course you got to call out Evander. He's proven himself week in, week out now that he's back from injury. He's on my team. He's split in terms of home and away games, but I think there's some good matchups still. Same thing goes for Ricky Puig. He's putting up huge numbers. He's scoring goals. I think the Galaxy also have some good matchups this week. He is split in terms of home and away this week. And also goes for Gauld. I feel like these three midfielders are going to be pretty chalk this week, but as they should be. They're quite expensive, but they have good matchups, and yeah, they're playing well. All right, and then moving on to standard, I've got Lode from Minnesota. I feel like his ceiling's not super high, but if you just need, a midfielder with, decent floor, he could be your guy. He's split, but a couple of good matchups this week. Then Gazdag. Gazdag is probably a guy I'd look to put on my bench, even though he is double home. He is more of a goal-dependent type of midfielder, but when he hits, he really can. Then another midfielder I've got is Gomez from Real Salt Lake. He is split with the home and away, and I do think he is on a yellow card risk, so there may be some better options this week, but if you do like those RSL matchups, he could be a good midfield option for you. Then Forsberg, I think, will be another popular pick this week. Red Bull or double home, he's got a decent floor and can really, pop off when the Red Bull starts scoring. So yeah, I think Forsberg is a decent look this week. And then Mukhtar. Bit more of a risky pick, as he's not super consistent week in, week out, though I do like Nashville's matchups this week. And then finishing things off, got to show some love for Hector Herrera. He's got that good floor, and he's not super expensive, so if you just need a midfielder who's going to most likely give you, decent score over the double game week, I definitely recommend Hector Herrera. And can't forget our forwards. First up, I've got Chicho. He's quite expensive, though he is, I think, on yellow card watch still. He's split home and away. If you want to risk it, go for it. Could be a good differential, if not a lot of players are picking him because of that yellow card warning or yellow card possible accumulation. So yeah, keep an eye out, but Chicho could be a decent look this week. Then, of course, if Messi's playing, got to pick Messi. Suarez could be a look as well. And then, Bouanga, double home. Oh, I forgot, Miami also double home. But Bouanga, double home. LAFC, good matchups. Pretty sure Bouanga's going to be in most, managers' teams this week. Then Benteke, he broke a lot of hearts last week, but that's, what he does. Pretty boom or bust. So if you want to keep rolling with him, could be a good bench option. I think he's split this week, home and away. And then moving down to a bit less expensive forwards, I've got Carranza. I think I like Carranza a bit more, a bit homer pick as well. Me going to the Union game. But yeah, I like their double home looks. They got some good matchups this week. Carranza could be a good look for the double game week. And then Gabriel Peck with LA Galaxy. So, Paintsel has been out. Peck's really been stepping up. It's hard to understand or pick who exactly is going to hit on the Galaxy outside of Puig. So I do like Peck. He's been performing well the past couple of weeks. And then Rodriguez from Portland. They are split. But, if you've got a forward working off of Evander, most likely to get some goals. I did like Moore as well, but he's more on the budget side. And speaking of budget, you got to call out Tani Oluwaseyi, I think is how you pronounce his name. Either way, he's been in good form, and he's not expensive. And Minnesota have the split with one home and one away matchup. All right, finishing off with captains. So, with the uncertainty if Messi is playing or not, I feel like I guess I still got to keep doing this bit. If he is starting, of course, you got to captain Messi. If he's not, I do like Bouanga this week. LAFC have the double home. And then if not Bouanga, Ricky Puig. I like those midfield options for captain as they're known to put up some big numbers in the double game weeks. And that wraps it up this week. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you found this helpful. It's good to be back, presenting as normal with the usual format for the vids. I am feeling a bit better this week, and I had this nice day off on Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Leave some comments, ask some questions. Let me know who you're picking this week. And don't forget I'm on Twitter, so feel free to give me a follow over there. And good luck everyone. Excited for another double game week.